Example number 3 from 4.3. We're going to be adding and subtracting functions now. Or we can call them polynomials too, but that's what we're going to do here. So for each of the following polynomial functions, f and g, they are defined as follows. So f of x, this is the way we call this, f of x is equal to 3x squared plus 8x minus 6. So we're going to take this function right here, and we're going to do something with the other function g of x, which is negative 4x squared plus 4x minus 8. Now I have a few rules right here. It's pretty simple in what this means. So there are two ways of notating if you're going to add two functions. We have the left notation, f plus g of x. That's kind of how we say that. F plus g of x, f minus g of x. Or you could just say f of x plus g of x. This right here is f of x minus g of x. Okay, so that's what we're going to do down over here, right? So if you think about this here, this right here again means f of x plus g of x, right? Like we have our definition right here. But now, what is f of x? Well, that was defined up here, right? F of x was this guy right here. So I'm going to replace f of x with what it's equal to. And that is 3x squared plus 8x minus 6, okay? And now what is g of x? Well, I'm going to now, again, like we're adding these together, so I'm going to do plus, and there it is right here. A negative 4x squared plus 4x minus 8. So we're adding f of x plus g of x. So now we're going to use what we learned from last section, and we're going to combine like terms now, right? We can combine our 3x squared with negative 4x squared. So that gives us a negative 1x squared because they have the same base and the same exponent. We can combine 8x and 4x. That gives us a 12x. And lastly, negative 8 and negative 6 and negative 8 and negative 14. Okay? And we can't combine anything else together, so we leave it just like that. All right? Going back to right here, f minus g of x. It means that we're going to take our function f first. Okay, remember this means f of x minus g of x. So we're going to take our f of x and we're going to subtract g of x. So let's replace, what is f of x? Oh, f of x is this again. It's the same thing. It's 3x squared plus 8x minus 6. Now check this out though. Check it. We're going to subtract the entire thing of g of x, and that's where one tricky part comes in. You got to remember that we're subtracting everything. Well, what is g of x? G of x is this whole thing. It's the negative 4x squared plus 4x minus 8. Okay, so which means that we first need to distribute this negative sign. You see, we have to distribute that. So now, a negative times a negative is a positive 4x squared. A negative times a positive is a negative 4x, and a negative times a negative is a positive 8. So now we can go ahead and combine like terms. We can combine 3x squared and 4x squared, which gives us a 7x squared. We can combine our 8x and negative 4x, which gives us our 4x. And we can combine negative 6 and 8, which gives us just a positive 2, because 8 minus 6 is 2. And there we go.